the first thing to kind of do is, and this is true in all these exercises when you transition, is to try to internally not break. So you don't want to kind of finish the first exercise and go, okay, start up again. What you would like to do is really, and there's a way to kind of really transition, I'll go through each one of these as we go through the set. As I finish the first exercise, I want to make sure I come down, and I really come to the point where I really complete at the bottom. Then I go into the closing phase of the second exercise, and then open. So then I end up going from one to the other without kind of internally having any break in my energy. And that's important to do. Now when you go into doing the second exercise, you're sort of at a point where you want to make a choice. And it really just kind of depends on what is going on in your body and how your energy feels. And the choice is either to start doing the gathering aspect of it right away, or to do a little bit of what we just did, and for however kind of much you feel like you won't need to do that, which is really the sense of the expansion here, and really helping yourself. If it feels at the end of the first exercise like you still have a lot of gaps in the flow of your chi, spend a little bit of time at the beginning of doing the first one concentrating on really expanding and getting everything really full. So you're really trying to just use this as a way of allowing yourself to make sure, best you can, everything is nice and evenly open for your whole system. It's useful if you're doing this, I find, to use your breath inhaling as you're expanding. But try not to use force or tension to make the movement bigger. Try to keep it very relaxed and just allow the sense of the chi to really fill and open everything up. This is sort of done if you feel like your system, you need to go ahead and do this for a while during the second exercise. But it's sort of just really more like a way of kind of giving yourself a little extra boost here to kind of get the chi more uniform and stuff. But the first exercise hasn't really kind of done that for you. If the first exercise does that for you well, then you really go into doing what in terms of the circulation of the chi and deepening the chi in the body, what you do with the second exercise. And the second exercise is really designed to start and really pull the chi in deeper into your system.
Could you say, my mind got thinking about exactly where do you switch from gathering to releasing to gathering?
I mean, there's not actually an exact physical outside position in a sense. It's when you change from gathering to releasing, when you basically internally and your body completes the gathering motion. You see, it may not be, my hands may not have to get to a particular spot, but it's like once I stop gathering internally into my center, then everything changes and goes the other way.
So
Same
coming
thing
up
here.
here isn't continuing gathering, it's releasing.
It's releasing. And so then when I reach however much I can release through out to the periphery, that's when all the stuff in my joints change also when you start going back in. So the end points, and there are kind of physical positions too. One's here, one's here. But you know, whether your hands are here makes a little difference. It's out here a little bit, it's maybe not quite as good because of some other connections. But the thing is to really try to time everything to open at once and finish opening at the same time, and then getting everything to close at the same time. That's really the big thing.
Timmy, is there a value to using the breath in order to just kind of validate this point and this point, or sort of to combine those two points?
Yeah.
So the exhalation, when the exhalation finishes, you maybe everything's drawn in.
Unless you want to go slower.
Yeah, if you're timing the movements with your breath, which is fine to do if you want to, This point here should be the point of change of the breath, and this point here should be the point of change of the breath. And that's true whether you're doing natural breathing or reverse breathing or whatever, however you're breathing it, but those points should be the change points with your breath as well.
I still feel a lot of localized muscle tension in my shoulders when I reach apex. Is that just...
Then don't bring your arms up as high.
Okay.
Try to use less physical strength, use more of the strength of your body and the opening of your body. So even if it's like here, your hands only get up like to, you know, the height of your temples, that's fine. The tendency at first is I think you have to really do this big lift. You actually really don't want to do that because it will put too much tension on your shoulder. Okay? Now the other thing that is kind of playing in getting the energy to go deeper, which is a little more subtle thing also, is how tissue is twisting. And as the tissue twists in your body, it helps everything become looser and unbind, and it allows the chi to go a little bit deeper. So it's not just the gathering and expanding of all the joints, and the gathering and expanding into the center that deepens the chi flow. It's also how your tissue actually twists around your skeletal structure. And the looser this becomes, this in terms of, as a side to this, in terms of doing Tai Chi, the looser your tissue gets, the more you can do things like stand there and have a really good aligned skeletal structure and move all the tissue around the skeletal structure without moving the skeletal structure. Which is what makes it very hard to get power on somebody who has that developed, because you go to do something and they seem very solid and they're very integrated, but at the same time, when you try to get a hold of anything, it just kind of rolls off, because the tissue is very, very loose around the structure. And so, because what happens with most people is if I go and do this exercise, and let's say I turn my shoulder joint, my bones tend to turn around. But you can also do it where
Turn up big muscles.
the big muscles slide a little bit as you do it. So they kind of start doing kind of this around the bones.